Changing the transmission fluid, 1996 Isuzu Rodeo V6. About 150,000 miles on it. I'm getting a rather strong intermittent flashing check trans light on it. And this is that sealed transmission. There's no way to add fluid to the top. There's a drain plug at the bottom. I'm just doing the fluid change. It's best I can tell, it's never been changed. I expected it to look a little darker. I've already got it draining here. Expected it to look a little darker than it does, but that's just life, right? So now we're going to get in there and work on getting that pan out. I've dropped that one front suspension cross member just out of my way because I'm going to do other things up there. Now I need to pull this one out. I'm going to start by pulling that rear skid plate off so that I can get some support on the transfer case, get that transfer case lifted up a little bit. That way when I pull this loose, I don't end up with an engine on my face, which I suspect is probably painful. So we're going to work on that. Should be 17 millimeter. Yep. And I expect it to need a team of mules to break them loose. Just judging from all the other bolts had to break loose. But now I'm going to pull, I'm not going to pull that right yet. I'm going to pull that, like I said, I'm going to pull that cross member, get some bracing underneath of it. Sorry, that skid plate. Get some bracing underneath of it, and then pull this cross member. So that's the first step. Well, I guess draining is the first step. Well, that's a disconcerting development. I got that one loose. I've not put a wrench on that. And I've proceeded to snap those two off. I went here and here. So, now I've got to decide, what do? Do I break them all and deal with it? Or do I see if there's a way to sneak those bolts out with this thing in the way and never touch this again and just accept the fact that I got two broken ones on that side. Sounds like the squirt gun war is heating up behind me there. An already stupid job just got dumber. Okay, I'll have to let you know what I decide. Well, in the end I broke three. Two here, one over there. They are some sort of captive bolt plate inside there, meaning they move around. That's a problem. It's going to make them dang near impossible to drill out and replace, and this is a welded box. So awesome! I think, however, it's probably going to be fine. I'm going to have to replace the bolts too, because they've all had the rust nibbles on them. I think if you're coming out of the east with its salted roads, you are probably 5 shades of SOL on getting these out intact. The other thing I considered doing, I know it's bad, just welding this thing back in place, but regardless, for right now, it's down. The motor is supported on a jack. I'll have to replace that with a board of wood because the jack will slowly sink over the next few days. I'm only doing a little bit at a time. But now I should be basically ready to take those bolts loose and drop that pan. I probably should at this point open up the kit that I got, and I got my kit from Napa, and actually make sure I'm supposed to drop that pan and not that little one over there, because that's interesting. I think that's the torque converter in there, so I believe I'm still on the right track, but I'm going to read the directions anyways. Yeah, I'll read the directions. Sue me. There ain't much in it for how much it cost. How much did it cost me? Trans filter kit, $46. Well, I was charged 34. So it's got a rubber gasket, a box in 5 different languages, one set of incredibly generic instructions, and the filter. So we're going to progress as if there are no special instructions.
Well, that was fun.
It's pretty clean in there. That's crap that fell in. This is a deposit of some sort right there. This is the magnet. You know, magnet's doing what the magnet's supposed to do. Truck's got 150,000 on it. I'd expect a bunch of crap off the clutch disc, so I'm not surprised. I'm not thrilled, but I'm not surprised. Can clean her out. Pull that filter. Maybe we can see if we can take that filter apart and discover if there's anything cool in there. So here is the new one versus the old one. I don't know. This is a Filtran, German made. Wish I had some sort of date code on it. Find out if it was the original one or not. They appear to be the same. This doesn't have any sort of maker's information on it anywhere. I can tell you that the fluid that came out of this when I tipped it up into the pan was really pretty dark. Not that looking into that pool of black means anything to you guys, but it was really pretty dark. I suppose that would make sense. I don't know. I guess I still don't see anything completely out of the ordinary. And I'd be honest, I'm not sure I see anything that would really warrant filter change to begin with. I had some of that black clutch disc dust caked on the back of this, but I don't see any sparklies anywhere. Long story short, it's time to put this back together. Unfortunately, the gasket for the bottom of the oil pan is stuck on there. So I'm going to have to get a really thin scraper and go all the way around it. It's going to be a huge pain in the butt. But what do? The replacement gasket is like a rubber, and the old one is like a cork. So it's stuck. So far, no surprises, except quite a bit less oil came out of it than expected. But then again, I was really pretty sure she was low.
Okay, so that's that old gasket cleaned off all the way around. We'll reuse the gasket the new filter comes with. No silicone, no sealant of any kind. It's like a soft butylene rubber. So that ought to seal really nicely. As an FYI, just because your transmission has stopped dripping with the pan off doesn't mean it won't continue to drip small amounts over incredibly long periods of time. So if you're going to walk away and leave it like I did for 4 days while you work on other things, you're going to want to keep a pan underneath of it, not just a cardboard box to catch the drips. Or, yeah, you're going to have a real mess in your driveway. that's the pan reinstalled. I just need to tighten up that drain plug, and I can crack this one. And then I have to figure out how to get fluid up in there. Now, because I'm not a professional tranny flush service, they say this thing's got about 9 quarts in it, and we get just a little over 3. So if you truly want to flush it, you're going to have to fill and drain this thing a few times. I just don't think it's that bad. I'm probably not going to bother. I just don't think it's that bad. Just try to find a way to get the fluid back inside. Right now I'm thinking a clean gear oil bottle, and then I got some rubber hose, and I can stick the rubber hose up there and turn the gear oil bottle upside down and give her a squeeze. I don't really have any small pump. You know, you can repurpose a shampoo bottle temporarily with a piece of little hose, get it to work up in there. Well, that's got it done. I took about 2.5 quarts out and put 3 1/8 back in. I don't know how much leeway there is on a 9-quart transmission, but my guess is that 5/8 of a quart wasn't enough. Being that low probably wasn't enough to trigger the low fluid warning, so it means that my transmission warning light's probably something else. I ended up using my own idea here. So I got an old baby shampoo bottle, cleaned it out really well with water, let it dry, and then pumped a little alcohol through it. And then I pulled it apart and let that dry. And I got all the water out. I'm using an old piece of hose there. You had to pump it, you know, a million times, but let's be honest, gentlemen. It's a motion for which we're familiar, and it allowed me to get the left hand involved, so it was a fun and new experience for all of us. All I have left to do now, I got to drill out these holes, come up with some way to mount it, since we broke off 2 bolts here and 2 bolts over there. My final thoughts: it ain't worth it. If you're coming out of anything that's rust belty, this thing has 150,000 miles on it, and there was absolutely nothing I saw. The fluid wasn't too bad. Sure, the magnet was a little fuzzy, but I mean, it's got 150,000 miles on it. You'd expect that. There was nothing in there that would lead me to believe that this thing in any way needed a transmission filter change. Sure, maybe changing the fluid, but it would have been totally fine, probably for the lifetime of the vehicle. And this thing's gotten used pretty hard. It was a rental truck, something that we found out after we bought it. Been used for a rental agency. Hey, thanks Carfax. Only found out because under the seats we found receipts from the company when they'd rented it out. So you know it had been used pretty hard before we got it. And then, my wife drove it, and she drove it real ginger. But it's been my work truck now for 3 years, 4 years, for pulling heavy loads of dirt as we fix the road for the tour company. So she's been used pretty hard, but no leaking yet. And it's all back together. Just got to put these mounts, like I said, back on, get them all drilled out and retapped, and then the bolts replaced and things like that. I guess what I'm saying is, if you're from the Rust Belt, I don't know how you'd get this apart. Maybe with some really tiny tools and some wobble sockets or whatnot, but I don't know how you get these bolts out of the front of this without pulling that cross member. And I think those of you guys coming from a rustier area, you are not going to get any of these bolts loose. You're not going to get any of them. And they're captive, so you can't get at them to wire brush the threads. You could maybe get a nozzle in here and blast a little, of your favorite rust penetrant lubricant, but you're just not going to do it. You're going to break all of them off. So that would be my advice to you.
If you drain this thing and it is just butt ugly nasty, maybe go for it. But if, like me, your fluid is just mildly dark after all that time, man, this ain't worth it. This ain't worth it for you, in my opinion, my humble opinion. But anyways, I'm not going to put that back on yet because I still have to change the starter. And it's not entirely clear yet whether I have to drop the exhaust to get the starter out or whether I can lift the motor, take a motor mount loose and get enough room to get that starter motor out of there. So that's where we sit with that. So this video is done. That's how to change the transmission filter and fluid in a 1996 Isuzu Rodeo. To recap, drain it. Oh, thank you, Isuzu, for including a drain. Thank you for including a drain. It makes me not want to hate you. The fact that you don't have a dipstick and instead you've got a overfill hole, that does make me want to hate you. So I guess we're at a wash there. You're going to want to pull the cross member. After you've drained this pan, take all the bolts loose. Pull the pan down. Pull the filter off of it. Make sure you've got something underneath a big large catch pan because she's going to continue to drip for days. Scrape that gasket off. Put your new filter back on. Your new gasket floats in on top of this thing, and I found it went fairly easy if I just, I got 2 bolts kitty corner, and then I just went 1 bolt hole to the next. And I never tightened them, right? Just get them started, and that seemed to walk that gasket right into place all the way around. And we were good to go. And just trust me. Pressure wash the thing. Just take that top tip. Pressure wash it. Run it up on some grates here. Put your rain slicker on. Just get underneath here and pressure wash it. This was an ugly job, but it would be so much worse if it wasn't already cleaned. I mean, it's still pretty ugly, right? It's still pretty, but oh, it'd be so much worse. The crap falling on your face and everything. Just trust me. Pressure wash the thing. Take that extra time. Let it dry, and then get after it. Same deal with the starter motor. Good luck.